What's up? It's Jen. I'm a wellness and nutrition coach, and I help moms take control of family chaos so they can live a healthier lifestyle. Please don't forget to subscribe and hit the notifications button so you can be the first to see these healthy lifestyle tips. One of the questions I'm always asked as a nutrition coach is how much should I eat? Well, that's not an easy answer across the board. Just knowing a calorie goal is only part of it. We don't just go into a bar and say, bartender, give me a beer, and expect to be satisfied, do we? Do you want a bottle, a draft, a can, a light, IPA, fruit the beer, don't fruit the beer? The possibilities are endless. It's the same for each client. The calorie goal is one thing, but there are lots of different ways to hit that calorie goal. And for many of us, having a calorie goal isn't even the smart way to go about it. Not all calories are created equally. Today, I'm going to be clearing this up and discussing, regardless of goals, what are the things our body needs in the largest quantities. I'll discuss what they are and what they do for your body and how to determine your needs. I'll even be dropping a fact that leaves many of my clients speechless, so stick around. Let's get to it. An easy rule for weight loss is to take a look at your calories in versus your calories out. Food is energy. Calories are the measure of energy for our body. So yes, that makes sense as a simple math equation. The makeup of these calories tells a deeper story though. Macronutrients, more commonly referred to as macros, are nutrients we need in the biggest quantities. Macros are proteins, carbs, and fats. These are the big categories that make up the majority of our calorie goals. Micronutrients, which are vitamins and minerals, are still necessary, but needed in smaller quantities. Now, it may sound all clear-cut, but it's not really. We normally eat meals of foods, not specific nutrients, and many of these foods ride the line, meaning they kind of fall into multiple categories. This can lead to some confusion among my clients, so we're going to clear it up here today. Before we dig into macros, here's some food for thought. The best rule of thumb I can give you, regardless of what your macro goals are, is eat a variety and eat in season. Most of us in the US are blessed to live in a time and place where you can get almost anything any time of the year. More is not necessarily better. Eating in season ensures you're getting the best quality, taste, and most nutrient-dense option available. If you live in Wisconsin in the middle of winter, this is not the time to get a strawberry. They will probably be picked green and artificially ripened with gases on a long truck ride or in a warehouse. This is a far cry from a beautiful, vine-ripened, warmed from the sun strawberry, gently plucked from Mother Earth right at the height of freshness. Which one do you want? So, first up is protein. Protein is very important for the diet because while our bodies can store carbs and fats, it can't really store protein because it's always being broken down and building back in other ways. Supplying our body with fresh sources of protein, aka eating foods that contain protein, is important to facilitate this turnover. Basic units of protein are broken down into amino acids, which can then be broken down into three groups: non-essential amino acids, essential amino acids, and conditionally essential amino acids. Think of essential as something we don't already have in our body and we need to get from food sources. Conversely, with non-essential amino acids and conditionally essential amino acids, our body can make some of these, so we don't need to necessarily get them through foods. Eating a variety of protein sources ensures we get a variety of amino acids, as different foods supply different amino acids. It's the same ideology behind eating the rainbow when talking about vegetables. If you eat a varied diet, more likely to hit the nutrients you need. Many of us associate protein with animal-based proteins like chicken, fish, beef, and pork. These are all awesome quality options for protein. We can also get protein from non-animal-based foods as well. Being vegetarian doesn't mean you don't need to eat any protein. Quite the contrary. Vegetarians still need protein, but it's just about finding efficient sources that are good for them. Lentils, beans, and lots of ancient grains are really great sources of protein, as well as soy, seitan, and tempeh. You can also get protein from vegetables like spinach, broccoli, peas, and Brussels sprouts. These vegetables just aren't as protein dense as animal sources, usually containing around 2 to 6 grams of protein per cup versus 9 grams of protein for 4 ounces of tofu and 35 grams of protein for 4 ounces of chicken breast. That's quite a big difference. Okay, so now that we're clear about what protein is, what does it do for our body? Protein works as building blocks for our bodies. It's key in building lean muscle and bone. It helps your immune system function and even helps heal injuries. Protein has been shown to reduce cravings because it helps you feel full longer and satisfied longer. So you can understand why there's such a big focus on protein in so many diets these days. So how much protein is enough for the average healthy adult? Usually around 1 gram per pound is a standard protein goal. As someone who just doesn't like math, even I can figure that one out. But if we remember that protein is involved in rebuilding our muscles and immune systems, we're often going to need more than that because enough isn't always optimal. If you're training super hard, recovering from surgery, suffering from chronic stress, or older, you're going to need more protein than that base goal. Even if you're trying to lose weight, increasing protein goals can be effective in putting us in a negative energy balance, reducing carb cravings, and ensuring we're eating quality options. Next up, carbohydrates. Oh, carbs. Carbs are sugars that depend on how many molecules are bonded together. Monosaccharides, disaccharides, or oligosaccharides, which determines whether it's a complex carb or a simple carb. These different structures determine what happens when these carbs are cooked and how our body processes them. Yes, carbs, regardless of whether they are sweet or not, are sugars to our body. And this is something that gets so confusing with so many people. Complex carbs are usually what we want to fill our carb daily requirement with. These are whole foods like vegetables, fruits, yes, I said fruits, legumes, and whole grains. Complex carbs help us feel full longer because they take longer to digest, kind of like protein. They keep blood sugar and insulin stable with more of a slow metered energy release. 1 serving of carbs is equal to about a half to a third cup or a small or medium-sized whole fruit. In contrast, simple carbs digest quickly, give us a quick burst of energy, then drop us on our face just as quickly and still leave us wanting more. They usually go hand in hand with sodium, flavorings, and preservatives. These types of foods, like candies, cookies, and crackers, don't have a lot of nutritional value and will spike blood sugar and insulin levels. Often, my clients are surprised when I mention that fruit is a carb, and this is a huge shock to them. I can see the wheels turning, but fruit is healthy. It can't be a nasty carb. Those who have waged a war on carbs have done them a huge disservice. Yes, you should limit things like candy, but nobody ever got fat from eating only apples. I wouldn't say a whole lot for their health in general if they did that, but fat wouldn't be their issue. Unless you have a specific sensitivity, are diabetic, or another sensitivity that dictates avoiding certain kinds of carbs, the right kind of carbs in the right quantities are your friends. Regardless of what the latest diet says, we all need carbs in our diets. Our brain needs about 130 grams of glucose, carbs, daily, which can come from your diet and also from stored energy. I don't know about you, but I'm trying to keep my brain function strong. Just like everything else, finding out the right amount and type of carbs for each individual is important. Your carb intake depends on all sorts of factors, like how big or small you are, your lean body mass versus body fat, your activity level, and the intensity of that activity. The difference between carbs, fats, and protein is that our body will store carbs and fat, and it won't really store protein. This stored energy, meaning you aren't burning it through activity, leads to body fat, which is why carbs get their bad reputation. So that leads us into fats. Fats, like carbs, get a super bad rap, but really they play an important role in our diet. Fat can be a source of energy. It helps make and balance hormones. It works as a transport system for certain vitamins, and it forms our brain and nervous system. Fats are broken down into saturated, monounsaturated, and polyunsaturated fats, and these are found naturally in many food sources. Again, here's where it's important to get a variety of fat sources so you can get enough of each of the kinds of fats. Great natural sources of fats are nuts, butters, and nut butters, olive oil, avocados, cheese, butter, cream, seeds like chia, hemp, and flax. Watch out for more processed foods that have industrially produced fats, as these can lead to a higher risk of chronic diseases and diminished blood vessel function and elasticity. On average, you should aim for about 1 to 2 portions, about a tablespoon, of fat-dense foods per meal. Next up, micronutrients. Micronutrients are real power players. There are thousands of them that do different things, like clear free radicals, repair DNA, lower inflammation and the risk of heart disease, and support healthy brain function. The more food is processed, the fewer micronutrients are present, which is why we want to aim for whole, minimally processed foods. I say minimally processed because things like cooking, freezing, pickling, fermenting, all by nature are kinds of processing. Many foods require some level of processing to kill harmful pathogens and parasites, or to make food softer and more palatable. Now, many foods that we eat live in multiple categories, like I said before. For example, salmon is a delicious protein, but it's also a great source of omega fatty acids. It can get confusing if we're trying to keep track of what we're eating and don't know which category to put the food in. My best advice when dealing with these foods that ride the line is to ask yourself, what is this food predominantly? Salmon is a fish is an animal, animal equals protein. It's that simple. So, what do you do with all this newfound information? Use it to make informed food choices, of course. So, no food is bad or good, and not all calories are created equally. If you're eating a variety of in-season foods in each category, you're going to be doing all right. Listen to your body to see if there are foods it enjoys or if there are reactions. Finding your personal sensitivities can help direct more informed and better for you eating habits. If you like this info and would like to dig in a little bit deeper about how to pick good food choices for you, click on the Work with Jen link in the description below. So I want to know, was this information helpful? What's your biggest takeaway? Let's continue the discussion in the comments. Don't forget to like, hit the notifications button, and subscribe for more healthy lifestyle tips. Thanks for watching, and until next time, be well.